Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. In this one, I will tell you about the symbolism and meaning of the Knight of Cups in the Thoth deck. As usual, I will start with the description of the card and then we will be diving deeper into the symbolism of all of the elements that we can see here. I will list the meanings of this card in divination at the very end of the video, and the timestamp for when I start talking about that is shown below now, so you can jump there if you want. Okay, so let's have a look at our knight. We can see that he is wearing armor, so he looks like he's ready for a battle, but he has no helmet, so immediately we can say that he is vulnerable in some way. He's the only knight in the deck without a helmet, and he is also the only one not holding a weapon. So we can see that in his right hand, he's holding a cup with a crab above it, and in the left hand, he's holding the reins of his horse. And he's holding the reins in the same manner as the Knight of Wands. They are both holding them kind of up, almost above the horses' heads. And the Knight of Cups is holding the reins in his left hand, while the Knight of Wands was holding the reins with his right hand. Now, we know from the yogic tradition that left hand and left side of our bodies, connected with the right side of our brain, is responsible for the magnetic or receptive energy that we call feminine energy. And left hand is our receiving hand. Right hand and right side of the body, connected with the left side of our brain, is responsible for expansive or active energy that we call masculine. So right hand is our giving hand. And the Knight of Cups, who's holding the reins in his left hand, is focused more on his receptive side. He is led by his emotions and creativity. He's also connected with Venusian energy through the green color of his armor. If you remember, the color of Sephira Netzach, linked to Venus, is green. This all makes him a very artistic and kind soul. He appreciates beauty and harmony, but also wants to experience the luxuries and pleasures of life. Although the knight is focused on what's ahead of him, we can see that his horse is looking a bit to the side. So it looks like there is an element of distraction here. There is not enough focus to accomplish the goal ahead. The overall impression that we can get here is that there is quite a lot of energy. So the horse is leaping. We have a lot of dynamic waves, both in the corner of the card and in the background. But we can also see that this is a gentle energy. The horse is white. All of the colors in the card are very soft. And our knight has white feathery wings. And now let's hear a quote from the Book of Thoth to find out a bit more about this card. The Knight of Cups represents the fiery part of water, the swift, passionate attack of rain and springs, more intimately, water's power of solution. He represents the most active aspect of water. In his right hand, he bears a cup from which issues a crab, the cardinal sign of water, for aggressiveness. His totem is the peacock, for one of the stigmata of water in its most active form is brilliance. There is here also some reference to the phenomena of fluorescence. As you might remember from my other videos about court cards, every type of court card is associated to one of the elements first, and then secondarily it's assigned to the element of the suit that it's in. So all knights are associated with the element of fire, first and foremost, and our knight is in the suit of cups, so he is the fire of water, so the fiery part of water. And we can compare him to the Queen of Wands that we already discussed, and she has the opposite elemental attribution, so she is the water of fire. And Crowley says that in that case, water is the calming and modulating influence, while here it is fire which creates trouble. So we can see that she is a more balanced character because the element of water calms her fiery impulsiveness. Our knight is the opposite, so in his character, fire is trying to ignite water in some way, so he does represent the most active aspect of water, but it will not be the same as the calmest aspect of fire. It's mentioned in the quote that our knight's totem is the peacock in the corner of the card. It looks like it's just an idea or a symbol of a peacock rather than an actual real animal. Peacocks symbolize pride and royalty, but on a deeper level, they are connected with one of the stages of an alchemical process. And this stage is known as the tail of the peacock because the transmutation of the substance in the alembic shows as an array of colors. So we can imagine a black substance that starts to display iridescence. It looks a bit like the reflection of light on spilled petrol, and it's creating this rainbow effect. So since we are mentioning alchemy, it's also important to mention here that there is an alchemical formula called the formula of the crab. So it also connects nicely symbolically to this card and the crab that we can see in the copper cup. And this formula is quite cryptic, but we know that copper, the metal of Venus, is mentioned multiple times in the transcript. We also have a symbolic reference here to the sign of Cancer, the cardinal sign of water, so the most active of the watery signs and therefore the most aggressive. The sign of Cancer has a very nurturing and protective energy. It wants to make you feel comfortable, but it is also quite demanding emotionally. So it wants to take care of others, while at the same time it also needs to be taken care of. Cancer is quite reactive and has a tendency to be sentimental and moody. It's quite cautious and it tends to approach things indirectly. Now let's have a look at the decans that the Knight of Cups rules over. So he rules the last decan of Aquarius and 2 first decans of Pisces. And the time frame for those 3 decans together is from the 9th of February until the 10th of March. His first decan is connected with the 7 of Swords, so this is the energy of Moon in Aquarius. This is the part of his character where he can be doubting himself, he lacks the follow-through to accomplish what he planned, and he's giving up too easily. And this decan also shows the shadow side of him where he can be untrustworthy. The second decan is the energy of Saturn in Pisces, so this is the 8 of Cups. And here we see even more of his shadow side, where without outside stimulation, he's sometimes completely unable to act or make any effort. And he might have moments in his life where he can't see the point of anything and is completely withdrawn. The last decan brings a completely different energy into the mix, because this is the Jupiter in Pisces connected with the 9 of Cups. And this element of his character gives him a chance for happiness, for success, and allows him to achieve all of his dreams. So this is the part of his character that is very optimistic. This is how Crowley describes his character. The characteristics of the person signified by this card are nevertheless mostly passive, in accordance with the zodiacal attribution. He is graceful, dilettante, with the qualities of Venus or a weak Jupiter. He is amiable in a passive way. He is quick to respond to attraction and easily becomes enthusiastic under such stimulus, but he is not very enduring. He is exceedingly sensitive to external influence, but with no material depth in his character. When the card is ill-dignified, he is sensual, idle, and untruthful. Yet with all this, he possesses an innocence and purity which are the essence of his nature. But he is, on the whole, so superficial that it is hard to reach this depth. His name is writ in water. So we can see that his 2 more challenging decans will completely overpower the whole character if the card is not well dignified. And he will have difficulty maintaining positive attitude and his interest and involvement in really anything he does. So he is said to have the qualities of Venus, and Venus is the planet that rules over love, relationships, art, good taste. Venus is the planet of beauty, of pleasures and happiness, and it also rules over money. Jupiter, on the other hand, brings luck, expansion, and hope. So, this is the planet of honor, of tolerance, morality. Jupiter also rules over knowledge, but also hope and optimism. So it can lead us to excess and overindulgence, but we need to remember that Crowley says that our night could only be characterized as a weak Jupiter. So he will not have all of the qualities of the planet, and from the decans he rules over, we definitely know that he's not always going to be optimistic and full of hope, and he can be untrustworthy and withdrawn at times. This last quote will show us how the complexity of the Knight of Cups character is also associated to his elemental attribution of being the fiery part of water. There are difficulties of rightly mating such opposites as fire and water. Swiftness and violence ill suit a character naturally placid. It is rare indeed to meet with a person who has succeeded in harmonizing these conflicting elements. He tends to mismanage all his affairs, and unless sheer good fortune attend him, his whole career will be an unbroken record of failure and disaster. Often his mental civil war ends in schizophrenia or melancholy madness. The abuse of stimulants and narcotics may precipitate the catastrophe. Now I'll tell you a bit about how to interpret this card in divination. So, as an action, this card can mean being inspired to act, reaching for what we want, and following our passions. As a person, the Knight of Cups shows someone in touch with their emotions. This is a person who's sensitive, with an artistic nature. And this is also someone who is creative, who is spiritual and quite pure in intentions, but they will also have those moments of self-doubt and will need our support and encouragement. So without encouragement and stimulation, this person is very likely to become lazy and isolated. As a partner, this card shows someone who's sensitive and loyal, so this can be a very good partner, but if they don't receive the same encouragement and support that they are giving in a relationship, then the relationship might be quite brief, but it will definitely be a very meaningful one. We need to remember that if this card is ill-dignified in our reading, it can mean someone who is vain or lazy, or someone who has a tendency to lie. But even then, this person has a potential to change. So like the core of the being is very pure and good in intention. It's just that sometimes the personality can be overshadowed by other things. In terms of jobs that our Knight of Cups could be doing, this will be anything artistic and creative. He doesn't care about fame though, so he doesn't want to be a public persona. He likes to keep his life private. Although he likes luxury and comforts in life, but he likes to enjoy them alone or with people that he feels comfortable with, so like with his closest friends. And this doesn't mean that he wants to be mediocre in any way. There is in him a will and ambition to be the best he can be in his field. And the recognition by people he admires means a lot to him. But he's definitely not interested at all in being a celebrity and giving interviews. Among famous people who could fill this archetype, we could mention Kurt Cobain, who was a very sensitive and creative person, but he absolutely hated being famous, and he hated this public lifestyle of a star. So I think that Henry Cavill could be another example. He's an actor who seems to really like his alone time, and he doesn't really enjoy being on talk shows or giving interviews. And I think there are a lot of people like this in the film industry who would fit this profile, but we don't hear about them as much as we do about the big stars. And these could be people who are working on costumes or props, people who are interior decorators, for example. And I think there are a lot of people like this as well in the fashion industry. And those people are just working alongside the big names, maybe on their design teams. If this card shows in your reading as advice, then it will be telling you to go for what you want, to take the action, and this is a very good time to act, and it's a very good time to be inspired as well. As an obstacle, the Knight of Cups will be telling us that we might be losing focus on what we are trying to achieve, and also that we might need support and encouragement from others to stay motivated in what we are doing. And it's very important to recognize when we need support and to not be afraid to ask our friends and the people close to us to give us this support. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember to like the video and of course subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would like to thank everyone who is already supporting the channel. I appreciate your help very, very much. But if you want to start helping, if you want to help me provide even more great videos explaining Thoth, please consider maybe a one-time PayPal donation, or you can become a patron of the channel for just €3 per month. So it will be a bit like getting me a cup of coffee every month to say thanks. Every little bit of support and every donation is a great help for the channel, so it is greatly appreciated. All links are in the video description below. So once again, thank you for today, and I will see you in the next video about the Queen of Cups very soon. Thank you. Bye!